They then get an object and break it.
And ash is coming down like rain.
Damage mostly kept to a minimum in this area.
This gives us an opportunity to take a look at some exclusive video that we got a hold of.
Who is setting cars on fire in Fresno?
And I should be able to keep the heat.
I'm hanging thousands of feet off the sheer face of Half Dome right now.
Oh boy!
Oh my goodness, he did it!
Does his name hit your radar?
A lot of names hit our radar. We trying to improve as a team.
Good evening, I'm Derrol Nail. We begin with breaking news tonight out of the North Valley. An ultralight has crashed. So now you've got your degree. What's it worth?
We are live here at the St. George Greek Orthodox Church, where the party continues.
This is the media area where Idol has been staging. Straight that way is the Kodak Theater.
First electric bill will be zero. Especially if air regulators make good on the threat to fine the university $75,000
miles per hour when it struck the victim right here at this spot in the crosswalk.
No drugs, and of course, no alcohol.
Something about the murders of Lena William Chapman. And they're hoping this billboard
The fire itself will be remembered long after they're gone as one of the most destructive fires in California history. On the move in Huntington Lake, Derrol Nail, KMPH News.
I am here at the Heavenly Ski Resort parking lot, where it's been transformed into a base of operations for battling the Angora fire. There are 2,000 firefighters here, so this is indeed like a small city that is supporting them. Among them, 22 of our firefighters from the Central Valley, which are making up that strike team which went out today. In the early part of the day, they didn't have a whole lot going on. There's a glut of firefighters, but when those winds picked up, they were really glad that they were here, because that fire jumped a defensive line, and then it threatened a neighborhood, and those guys had to jump into action. With lights flashing and sirens blaring, the 5-engine strike team rushed to protect a 200-home South Lake Tahoe neighborhood. Firefighters arrived to find panicked residents fleeing their homes.
It's going to be just a couple minutes before we're on fire.
With the Angora fire fast approaching, it quickly filled this neighborhood with smoke and fear.
Kind of anxious. It's my first actual full year here, so I'm kind of new at this. But this is a really great community.
We've got plenty of time to get him out of here. We don't want you in there.
Some firemen from Fresno City helped residents get out, while others did the clearing work that some homeowners should have done themselves.
Normally, we probably not spend the time on this type of a house. It's considered a house that might not be able to be saved. But we do have a couple structures also that we're protecting.
Meanwhile, firefighters from Clovis were sent to the front lines ahead of the homes to battle the fire's aerial attacks.
The main fire line is approaching, but it's still several hundred yards away. But with heavy winds, it's picking up red-hot embers and carrying them and throwing them in front of the fire, where they're landing in places like this, creating hot spots.
We're going out here catching spot fires so they don't get big in this area.
I think they're doing a great job. Just pray that the fire don't get down here, guys.
So how did these firemen do? Well, none of the structures in that neighborhood burned down or were even damaged by fire, so they did a pretty good job defending that neighborhood today. So what's ahead? Well, the winds are really going to be whipping up, and we're told possibly as high as 40 miles per hour. We know at least 30 miles per hour, and that will prove to be a very active day for our firemen. They will be at the day's end tonight. They'll get some rest, and then tomorrow morning be back at it at 6 a.m. to find out where they'll be assigned next. In South Lake Tahoe, Derrol Nail, back to you.
How much was this man, 41-year-old Hanam Mundi, respected and loved by family and friends? Look at the shoes. More than a dozen pair at all times on this evening, left at his front door by the visitors going in and out of his grieving widow's home. Removing their shoes is a sign of respect and humility in the Indian culture.
He was very friendly. He never have argument with nobody. Sometimes the customers come and get mad, and he smile all the time. He say, just thank you.
Rabindranath Danda is Mundi's brother-in-law, and on this day, he and others mourn the loss of a father and grieve the plight of his newly widowed sister and her 2 young sons.
She's disabled. She cannot work, and they 2 kids. Now she had to take all the responsibility for the kids.
These are footprints made by shoes, but they tell a totally different story about Mundi. They lead to a pool of blood in the corner of his store on Olive and Peach. This is where Hanam Mundi was stabbed to death Monday night, and there is no explanation why.
We just don't know. It could end up being a robbery. Maybe it was a robbery attempt that went bad. But I'll tell you, the preliminary indications are that it was not a robbery.
That's because the two men who entered Mundi's store took nothing and, according to police and relatives, demanded nothing. Neither from Mundi, who was stocking the cooler at the time, or his 26-year-old clerk.
Oh, okay.
The day after his murder, police collected the surveillance tape, and Mundi's co-owner of Quick Pick began the grim task of cleaning up the store, at the same time shooing off would-be customers. Meanwhile, outside Mundi's home, crying could be heard in front of and behind the door. We did not go in, but we did see the shoes, and we knew Hanam Mundi will be greatly missed.
Most of us would call it a hole in the ground, but it's home, sweet home to one man. Derrol Nail of affiliate KMPH explains.
Home for Bruce Stacy is where the hole is.
Mole man, and you know, they call me a gopher man or whatever too.
The 50-year-old homeless carpenter built the 10-foot deep, 200-square-foot underground fortress himself.
I used mostly a hammer and a shovel and a pick.
It took 2 months of hard work, and he even built green.
I find all the nails and the plywood and the beams and the 2x6s and the roofing material all thrown away.
Plywood boards make the roof, and it has
torch-down roofing, you know, so that when it does rain, it doesn't leak through.
A ledge is where he sleeps.
It stays really nice underground, like it's probably 75 degrees always, you know.
And in a corner, the kitchen. But don't come over for dinner. Bruce doesn't like visitors. If the police or some strangers come to the front door, then Bruce just jumps through his emergency exit here, then just slides this board out of the way, pops up out of the hole, and goes running down the highway. So you don't have to worry about anybody trying to take over your home.
I mean, except for the rats, yeah, that's about it.
Bruce loves living underground. He's built 6 such holes over the past 2 years. But there's one big drawback. How do you keep the place clean?
Oh, that, my friend, is the hard part, yeah. And dirt is part of your program.
Stacy may not have his home for long. He says state workers plan to bulldoze the place pretty soon.
Parts of the Chandler Airport in downtown Fresno being transformed to look like a 1950s Mexico City airport. Apparently, it will be a small part of the 4th Indiana Jones movie. And in the true spirit of the adventure Indiana Jones, well, my photographer and I went on an adventure ourselves to get an inside look at the movie set. I want to look like Indiana Jones because I'm going out to the shoot here in Fresno.
Famous fedora, so that's probably a good place to start there.
Yeah. Are they shooting Indiana Jones here?
No.
No?
No.
Why would I be standing here with this Indiana Jones hat if they weren't shooting a movie here?
Got me? I don't know.
Ah, it's fence. Oh, wait, I'm taller than the fence. That's right. Hey, here comes somebody. Turns out this Fresno pilot was getting a sneak peek himself.
Yeah, when you got Indiana Jones 4 filming out here, you got to scope out the scene, of course.
So can you get us in, right?
I think so.
Here we go, baby. Nice work. Nice job, brother. Nice job. I'm going to go around and have a look, okay? I'm going to check it out, see if we can see something, and I'll get you. See. Yeah, I was just checking out the tires here. I think they're okay. All right, there's a security guard there, so. All right, well, we'll have to do a drive-in. You got a good shot of this? Once inside, we get a good look at the planes in the movie. A DC-3 with the Pan America logo on it, as well as a, what a surprise, biplane being prepped inside a hangar. And what about these cool cars from the 40s and 50s? Bet they'll blow them up. Maybe. And that's your sneak peek at the movies, Fresno. And when the camera starts rolling, make sure you remember to smile for the camera. There's a quick look, brief. Anyway, Paramount Studios apparently shooting another airport here in the valley. Word is Eagle Field in the North Valley is the other location. All a little fun. Monty?
Good job, Derrol.